Great. My name is Marissa Payne. I'm the Gazette Cedar Rapids government reporter, and we're excited to honor both the Monarch Research Group and Trees Forever as recipients of the Gazette Business Awards. They're being honored in the rebuilding category for all that both organizations did to help our community recover from last year's derecho. So the Monarch Research Group led the Planting Forward effort to help private property owners replant after the derecho, all the trees that were lost in our community. And Trees Forever is working on the public-private partnership with the city of Cedar Rapids, the ReLeaf initiative to reforest our community over, the next several years to come after the derecho. So thanks to both of you and all the work that your organizations have done to help our community. Let's just kind of take a look at 2020 and the work that both your organizations did. Clark, if you could start off, can you kind of give us some insight into, what happened last year and what kind of prompted Monarch Research Group to jump into action to help the community, after the devastation of the derecho?
Our company, Private Utilities Group, decided to provide as relief to our employees free native trees. And so when I heard of this, I said, listen, we've got to take this out to a lot of other employers because this mass tree destruction has hit 200,000 citizens in Lynn County. How do we get to all those citizens quickly? And the reason we had to get to them quickly is because most people are not aware of what they should replant, and many don't know how to replant. So we moved into action within 45 days. We had a program running at 6 businesses in Cedar Rapids.
Yeah, and then with Kiley, I know that you're new to Trees Forever, but if you can kind of walk through, I'm sure you're familiar with how the relief effort came about, and you can kind of recap, last year and where we are now.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for the award, and congratulations to Clark and his team on being honored in this way as well. Right after the derecho, Trees Forever started raising funds for our initiative called Planting Hope, which was to gather private dollars that could be rolled out in grants to communities for replanting. Soon after, the city of Cedar Rapids approached my predecessor, Shannon Ramsey, for Trees Forever to become a partner in the planning for Cedar Rapids' recovery. And from that, you got ReLeaf CR. And so right now, teams are out raising the dollars to support that program. The city has already committed $1 million a year for 10 years. And you might have seen where partners such as Alliant Energy has contributed $550,000, and Collins Aerospace, $250,000. Simultaneous to that fundraising, Trees Forever has been involved both in the public and private sector, public and private lands replanting. On the public lands, we're using our Growing Futures program, which is a high school initiative that both allows, both replants the public grounds in Cedar Rapids and also trains up the high schoolers for the future workforce. And then we have been involved with several private sector partners in tree adoptions that provide quality, low-cost trees to residents of Cedar Rapids that they can replant on their properties as well.
Yeah, those tree adoptions are so much fun to report on because people, between both Trees Forever and Monarch Research Group, I know people are just so excited to get their trees and help Cedar Rapids replant.
Well, absolutely. And Monarch Research and Trees Forever both have the philosophy that we want to plant high quality natives that support our wildlife. And so it's fun to see, as Clark said, it's important to get involved early on to make sure that folks get the right trees.
Marissa, I started with just 2020 because I thought that was the question. So I'll expand into this year if you'll give me another minute.
Yeah.
So by the time we got done with our pilot, we knew we had a really top-notch program. And by going to employers, we could access hundreds, thousands of employees. And the real difficult thing with the private land is that most of the trees sold in Cedar Rapids are non-native trees. And we've not had to worry about that in the past. Monarch Research hasn't even worked in that area because we've had a great canopy of native trees. Those are trees that were planted by the previous generation when native trees were really the only ones offered in the community. So we had to move quickly, and by spring, we were ready, and we actually planted, through our partners, 15,000 trees. And to jump ahead, we prepared for the fall because the fall is the best planting season. You know, all of these big box stores are selling trees all through the summer months, which is a no-no, and it certainly was this year because we had a drought. So trees should go in 1 month in the spring and 1 month in the fall, and that's when we do all of our work. So this fall, we have offered trees to 8,000 teachers and staff in Lynn and Benton County. We've offered 3 trees, native trees now, to all the healthcare workers at our hospitals. We rolled out our pilot early so that we would know how to react quickly to the marketplace. So in the springtime, we did, through our organization's plant, 15,000 trees through the partners that we established. And those partners, in fact, were provided the training to train all their employees. So now we're into the fall, and this is even a bigger season because we expanded the number of employers we let into the program. So roughly somewhere between 15 and 20,000 employees were offered trees for this fall planting. The orders are being placed. Each individual employee gets to order their specific species of trees. Those orders then become their acknowledgement form when they go to pick up their trees. We send those orders and accumulate them directly into the nurseries that are providing us the native stock. So we created a very good system for employers to take an active part in rebuilding our community. We don't have any paid employees working on this program, so we're using the power of the existing community employers to make it happen quickly.
Yeah, thank you. And can you both also provide some insight into, how decisions have been made this past year as you're undertaking these, massive efforts to help our community recover? We'll start with Kiley this time.
Can I get you to maybe clarify how decisions about what have been made? I'm sorry.
Or decisions surrounding, for you with ReLeaf and Planting Hope and, those
Sure.
major efforts that ReLeaf has undertaken.
Well, I think it was pretty evident early on that we had this massive problem that covered both the, like we said, public lands and private lands, and that there was going to be a need for native replantings and also the expertise to care for the trees. Within Trees Forever, we use a committee structure. So within the Planting Hope campaign, we have members of our team and members of our board that come together that determine how those dollars are allocated. As it pertains to ReLeaf Cedar Rapids, there's a community group of volunteers led by Shannon Ramsey, our founder, also Jeff Pomerantz from the city of Cedar Rapids and others. And they've been determining the strategy for raising the dollars while also overseeing the process of developing a citywide plan in partnership with Confluence and Jeff Speck.
Tim, thanks. And for you, Clark, with getting planting forward off the ground, what was your thinking that you could share with us for other leaders to learn from?
Well, for other leaders to learn from, people running companies, whether they're for-profit companies or nonprofit, we have put together a system that allows them to help their employees through this process. And it's probably one of the easiest things to do. Because we've done it in this way, the employers are, in effect, contributing money to their employees through trees. It's that easy. And we are providing the trees to those for-profit employers and providing all the information for training. And companies are certainly very adept at training their employees. So this is a way to get to a large number of people, very quickly. And 200,000 people in the county is a big undertaking because there's so many other things going on. Just COVID for one thing. So here we are supplying trees to all the teachers and all the healthcare workers who are also in the midst of trying to handle the COVID situation. It's pretty exciting, and so it's been a fun year. And we'll be doing it next year and the year after that, which are the primary years that the private landowners will be replanting.
Yeah, and a follow-up for Kiley too, just kind of given I know the ReLeaf planning, that's intended to be a visionary process that eventually, once that plan is done, that cities around the country can look to that plan, if they've experienced some tree devastation as a model for their own communities. So can you kind of speak to that and the leadership, on the ReLeaf front?
Well, you're absolutely right. And I think the impact goes beyond future cities. The derecho cut a wide swath across Iowa and Illinois, and it hit a lot of small towns that simply couldn't afford an undertaking like a comprehensive plan that the city of Cedar Rapids is now procuring from Jeff Speck and Confluence. I believe, and I'm excited, and I think we all are excited, that a lot of that information will be applicable to a lot of our smaller communities in Lynn County, Benton County, and elsewhere. But you're absolutely right. The plan is to gather data from a lot of different stakeholder groups, whether that be local government, nurseries, property owners, put that data together and use it to determine a long-term plan for the tree recovery in the city of Cedar Rapids. And that plan includes specific planting plans for 38 parks in Cedar Rapids, as well as multiple transportation corridors, but also a broad-based strategy for how to continue to engage and replant on private lands. So I really think that this is going to have kind of a ripple effect through the city of Cedar Rapids, but also adjacent communities for many years ahead. And that's a great investment of public and private dollars when you can have a carryover effect like that.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll begin to wrap up here. My final question for you both is, what do you see for your organizations going forward?
Well, Marissa, I'll start with that. Our organization really intends to work diligently over the next 3 years on this project. We haven't done any of our fundraising because we've been so busy developing the programs to get out to the public as quickly as possible, but we will be raising some funds later this year. And so because we have created the software and systems to deal with tree distribution now broadly, we will use that, and certainly other communities that have that kind of destruction will probably follow the model that we have by getting their companies, leveraging their companies to help in the rebuilding process. It's more than money, believe me, it's very much being connected, directly connected to the people that you're trying to serve, and we're doing that through our partners.
Well, Trees Forever is definitely in growth mode as an organization, and our board has set a long-term goal of planting 10 million trees by year 50. In order to do that, we're going to have to continue to grow. And thankfully, we're experiencing that growth right now, both in terms of partnerships and new people coming on board and many new programs. I really think, though, to achieve the needs of our state and the Midwest as a whole, it's going to be about a lot of collaboration with partnering organizations such as Clark's organization and all the other many groups that are trying hard, working diligently to improve Iowa's tree canopy, clean up our water, protect our soil. So when I look to the future, what I see is just continued growth via partnerships.
And I definitely second that. That's essential because we have some very large issues, even without the derecho. And so they've been kind of building up. And the beauty of the derecho, if there is such a thing, is it got everyone's attention and in a very negative way. But because of what Kiley is doing and what our organization is doing, we're getting a real opportunity to educate the public. One of the issues that the people don't realize and why we keep harping on native trees is our native bird population was already down 35%. And it was down because there's been this trend across the entire country to plant trees from Asia and from all over. Well, our native birds will not nest in these non-native trees. And if you go to the big box stores, whether it's a grocery store, it's one of the other stores, what do you see in front of them? Non-natives. And the public has no idea. But this has given us an opportunity to let the public know and let them make choices, good choices. So that's what we're trying to do.
Yeah. Well, again, thank you so much for all that both Trees Forever and the Monarch Research Group are doing to help educate the community on, caring for these trees once they're replanted and to, actually get trees planted and in the ground so that way, future generations have a great tree canopy to enjoy again in Cedar Rapids.
Thank you, Marissa. We're honored and congratulations, Clark.
Thank you. Congratulations to you too.